Hi, it's Kelsey. First of all, I apologize for my voice. I'm getting over a cold and I woke up this morning with nothing. So this is an improvement over nothing. So it doesn't hurt me. I'm sorry if you can't fully understand everything that I'm saying today. It is November. We are coming up on gift knitting season for whatever holidays that you celebrate in the winter time. And I just have some ideas of things that I have knit, things that I want to knit, and some just suggestions for yarns that you could use to knit these patterns that the Woolly Thistle stocks. I chose patterns that I have either knit myself or I really like that are totally accomplishable by the winter holidays. So there are no sweaters, there's no big shawls, there's no blankets in this list. And all I have really is either the first page of the pattern if I own the pattern or the Ravelry page if I don't. So the first one is called Jala, and it's by Isabel Kramer. I believe it's a free pattern. It's actually written for Brusca, and I recommend using Brusca for it. So it's one color of Brusca, and then there's some color work here. I think it's actually slip stitch color work if I'm remembering right. So it's just got some nice interest here above the ribbing. And then you're knitting a plain thing, and obviously the pom-pom would be optional. So that is a nice quick hat. It's sort of on the light worsted range of things, so it wouldn't take too long. The next is called the Bankhead hat. The Bankhead hat is by Susie Gourlay. It's very popular. It's a free pattern online. It's generally a worsted weight, so about 20 stitches. I think 20 stitches is the pattern gauge. It's sort of a one width of ribbing here and a different width of ribbing up here. But you can really use any yarn that you like that gets to that 20 stitches or so. I'd recommend, if you wanted to buy new yarn or if you have stash yarn, Rauma Fivel would be a great choice. And also Jamieson and Smith Shetland Aran. So it's like their 2-ply jumper weight, but it's the sort of fat version, would be really nice in this hat. Yeah. And something to say about hats. Some people are they're very like could wear wool everywhere, but maybe very sensitive just right here on their forehead. So if you're knitting for another person for a gift, just think about that. Like if you know that they are sensitive right here, or you could also knit the full hat with a nice woolly, fluffy wool, but then you can actually line the very forehead, like the first couple inches of the hat, with a softer yarn if you wanted to. Another great one that I've knit before is called the Morning Walk hat. It's a knit beanie. Knit beanies are a great hat for gifts because it stretches so much. I think this is even 1x1 ribbing. It's not very complicated ribbing. This is knit with 2 strands of fingering weight held together. And you could either do that, 2 strands of any fingering weight that you have, including J&S or Yarnadelic or whatever, or Rauma Vams, whatever you've got. West Yorkshire spinners would be fun. Or you can hold a single strand of more of a DK-ish weight. But again, the ribbing makes it really forgiving with gauge. So if you're off by even an inch or 2, it'll still probably fit someone's head, especially with the folded up brim, because that brim can be folded a lot or a little bit or not at all, and it would still fit somebody's head. So that's called the Morning Walk hat by Ann Patterson. Sorry, I'm going really fast, but I feel like I have a lot that I want to share. This one's called the Blended Beanie, or just Blended, by Maya Gooding, who's also Edition Knitwear. You can see her Instagram right there. This is actually knit marled, so I think it's 3 strands of fingering weight to make a really nice marled hat. So again, scrappy. You can use whatever you've got to knit a really cool textured, again, knit folded brim beanie. So those are all the hats that I had. I have 2 cowls. One is called the Candlelight Cowl, and sorry, these are all black and white, but this is like a dark blue, and then there's white and yellow, sort of golden yellow color work in this cowl. It's a single layer cowl, so it's not an infinity cowl, it's just a tube this way. It's recommended for Peace Fleece, which we currently don't have in stock because their company is sort of ramping back up of production. But I would recommend using Rauma Vams for that. It's called the Candlelight Cowl. I think it's really cool. I really like graphic color work like that. And in worsted weight, a single layer cowl is going to go really quickly. This is called the Oats Cowl by Tin Can Knits. You can knit it single, so that what I was just saying, the single weight, or you can knit it it's still a single thickness, but much longer, so you wear it sort of doubled, sort of with an effect like my scarf is right now. This is one of their free patterns, Tin Can Knits. I would recommend Studio Donegal. I think would look really nice in this, or Vams again. There is some texture, so I think something like Studio Donegal would actually be really nice, or even Ullcentrum 3-ply. So that's their worsted weight in Ullcentrum. There we go. And again, with gifts, sometimes people's necks are sensitive, so taking some of these things into account, a looser weight thing will be less irritating than something really tight, because the warmer someone gets, generally the itchier something can feel. So again, if you're thinking of knitting for someone else for a gift, think of some of those things. I have three mitten patterns. This is, from Ravelry. This is called Badger Creek. I think this is also Tin Can Knits. Yeah, it is. It's Tin Can Knits, but it's actually only available in PomPom Quarterly number 46, which is their most recent autumn issue, so autumn 2023. And I don't know if you can see this very well, but it's a really nice cable pattern, sort of honeycomb cable on the back of these mitts. These are written for kind of a heavy DK, light worsted weight yarn. So I would actually recommend something like Rauma Strikkegarn would work well. So would Tukuwool DK. Tukuwool DK will be a little bit fuzzier, and it won't be quite as crisp of definition, but it would work really well at the gauge. Strikkegarn will give you a lot more definition in your cables if you're looking for those to be really sharp. So that's that. Another is the Hastings Mittens. This is by Tracy Miller. She's one of the Grocery Girls, if you watch the Grocery Girls video podcasts. I just really like this graphic color work. If you can see it, well, you can see it in either. The pattern comes as both a full mitten and as a fingerless mitt. So again, pretty fast knitting. It's in worsted weight. I would recommend Lettlopi, because Lettlopi is fantastic for mittens. And it's actually one of the yarns that is mentioned in the pattern itself. So I think that would look really fantastic in Lettlopi. Manhattan mitts are my next ones here. Tori Yu is based in New York City. She's a New York sort of born and bred person, so she comes out with some really contemporary, modern, urban styled knitwear. In these pictures you also see her hat that I think is also called the Manhattan hat. So there's a whole series of things that are similar in style. But the sort of shaping at the top of the mitten here, if you can see it, I think is really cool, because it's shaped more like the top of a hat instead of we're normally used to sort of decreasing up the sides of your fingers. And this is doing something a little bit more interesting. I would love these knit in Mota, in WoolDreamers Mota. I think that would be really nice with this texture, and it comes in some really fantastic colors and would feel really nice as a mitten. And then my last category is still small things, but they're just slightly different things. They're all sort of home good, toy, like non-garment accessory things. Just because it's fun to mix it up sometimes. And there's definitely some people who are not sort of wool wearers that you still want to knit something for. Like, you're afraid that they're going to wash their non-superwash socks in the washing machine, or they are very sensitive to wool on their necks or their heads or their wrists. So some of these small accessory presents are not going to work. This is the first one that I think is fantastic. There are a lot of patterns that are similar on Ravelry, but I really like this one. It's just called Wool Vessel. And it's a little basket. It's a felted sort of bowl basket with these little handles. Now I'm doubting myself. Yeah, you knit. You knit the basket itself, and then you felt it in the washing machine. So then you tighten up the fabric, and it gives it this stiffness. So it's giving you exactly what you don't want in all of your other knitting projects. I would recommend Alafosslopi for this. All of the Lopi yarns will felt really well, and the bulk of Alafosslopi will give this a really nice structure. And as you can see, you can sort of nest them or you can make them different sizes. And I thought that was a really nice sort of home decor item for people who maybe are not wool people. The next is sort of similar. It's a little sort of pouch, toiletry bag, crafting bag, just catch anything kind of bag. It has a little bit more to it because there's some sewing involved, because I believe it's there's at least a zipper. It may be lined. Yeah, it's lined as well. So if you're a sewist and a knitter, this is a fantastic one. This is by Linnea Ornstein. It's called the Adelphia Bag. It's very similar to my area shawl that I showed maybe a year ago now at this point. But it's these short rows that form these sort of flower shapes. It's great for any leftovers that you have, or new yarn in Ullcentrum 2-ply. So that's the Ullcentrum Sport yarn. And that will also make a really nice durable bag that's not going to fall apart as you use it. Not that most wool yarns, and certainly not things that we carry, will, but there are definitely things that are more suited for like a hat that's not getting a lot of abrasion, where Ullcentrum is a durable yarn that you can throw in your bag and not worry about it at all. You can also spot clean it. Wool is fantastic. That's all I got to say. Wool is fantastic. So that's a really nice bag. I haven't knit it myself, but I knit the area shawl, and the technique is totally doable. There's a lot of counting when you're doing all these little short rows, but looks like a really fun project. And then my very last one is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, and I'm hoping you can see it. These are little fish. These are Gansey herring knitted pattern, as it says on the top here. So if you can't, sorry for the black and white, but they're all little fish shaped with Gansey pattern. So that traditional fisherman's sweater with the textured knitting along the top, they made a little fish pattern out of it. I think that's super fun as home decor, as a toy for a kid, as a toy for a dog, as a Christmas ornament. I don't know, you so many things you could do with these fish. They just crack me up. Especially, so Frangipani comes in cones, as you probably know, and you may end up with a good amount of Frangipani leftovers. So that would be a fantastic way to use up some of those Frangipani 5-ply Guernsey yarn leftovers. If you don't have any of that, you don't want to invest in a cone to just knit a few fish, I would also recommend trying Rauma Strikkegarn. It may end up being a little bit of a bigger fish, but it's a fish. Who cares? So that's all I had about that. If you have any questions about any of those patterns or other options for yarns to knit them in, or if you couldn't understand what I was saying, because I'm so sorry about my throat, you can email us at info@thewoollythistle.com, and I will be happy to answer your questions. Happy knitting, happy winter, happy holidays, and I will talk to you next time.